Hello everyone, and welcome to another Redstone video. This one we're going to be looking at something kind of interesting, and it's to do with minecarts going into unloaded chunks. So I have this little setup here, which we're just going to test really quickly. So as you can see, we have this green chunk, and then there's also the red chunk to the right, and we're just going to send a minecart down the line by spawning it with this command block here. And you see it goes left to right, and we get little chat messages to let us know that it's which chunk it's in, basically. So yeah, everything's fine when the chunks are loaded. But the interesting thing comes when we go and unload the chunks. So I'm just going to teleport over here. So this is on the limit of the red chunk being loaded. You see if we press the button, we get the first message, and then we get the second message, so everything's fine. Just down one more time, everything is good. Okay. So now, when we move one chunk further and unload the red chunk, we will see something interesting happens. We press the button, we get first, and then nothing. And now, if we start sending more minecarts down the line, see first again, no seconds, just firsts. And essentially what these minecarts are doing is they're getting stuck on the chunk boundary, and that's when everything just messes up. If you see, if we teleport over here, we'll see what's happened. You can see some are going backwards, they've all bunched up, they're all gonna keep rebounding, and you can imagine that if you had some sort of complicated minecart system, travelling over long distances, going in and out of unloaded chunks, this would be a nightmare. You would have minecarts going the wrong way, you would have minecarts stacking up so you couldn't separate them. So yeah, this is a big problem. So now I'm going to show you how you can solve the problem. And quite simply, it's build one of these. It's just 2 redstone torches, a detect rail, and a trapdoor. And basically it means that when the minecart comes down the line, it will stop in the unloaded chunk, but it will actually still activate the detector rail. And that means that any minecarts following it will be held back by the trapdoor and won't cause them minecarts to stack up. Right, so now we can just give this a quick little test. So once again, we're back in the dark grey chunk. So the red chunk is still loaded. We can see we get the first message and the second message. The minecart has gone all the way through and everything is fine. But you can also see that the trapdoor is opening and closing. So that means that as we move into the black chunk and unload the red chunk once again, and send a minecart down the line, something very interesting happens. So we zoom in on the trapdoor and you can see that it's stayed shut. And this is just proving what I said before, that the minecart will stop inside the unloaded chunk but still activate the redstone. So that trapdoor is stuck shut. So when we send another minecart, it will just stop behind the trapdoor and won't break anything. We can see this if we just teleport over and have a look at what's happened over there. So when we arrive, we can see the first minecart has head off, and the second one just followed behind it. Let's just see that again in slow motion. As you can see, the chunks reloaded, the minecart started moving again because it retained its velocity, and then the trapdoor opened, letting the other one follow through. So now, of course, the question is, what if we were to add another minecart into the system? Surely it would just bounce off and go backwards. And it would, but to solve that problem, you can just add more minecart storage. So here I've just added another cell. It's just 2 redstone torches, detector rail, and trapdoor once again, and you can add as many of these as your system needs. So I've just gone with 4 storage spaces in addition to the original one. And now, when we send the minecart down the line, you can see the trapdoors close and open in sequence as it passes through. So that is still working the same as it did before. But yes, once again, when we go into the black chunk and we unload that red chunk, we can see something different happen. So here we go, just press the button, and we'll see we get the first message, and then the trapdoor's shut, and then open again, but the bottom one has stayed closed, just like it did when we only had 1 storage space. So now we can send a few more minecarts down the system. We'll just send another 2, because they act identically. You can see the next 2 trapdoors have stayed shut, which means we only have 2 more storage spaces left. One more will shut that final trapdoor, and then the last one will stop behind that trapdoor, and if we were to add another minecart at this stage, it would break. But you just have to tailor that to however many minecarts you have running in your system, and the likelihood of them meeting up. So now we can just teleport back over to the chunks to see what's happened, and if you remember, this is a very different site to what happened before when all the minecarts were going in loads of different directions. Everything is nice and organised with good separation. So that's about it for this video. If you enjoyed, please do leave a like and consider subscribing, because if you do, I will see you in 2 weeks with the release of my new map. I'll see you then.